Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the final Wildcard Weekend preview video. Even though I don't know if you can really call it Wildcard Weekend anymore, since they are putting games on Monday night, and Monday's the beginning of the week. It's not technically part of the weekend, so I do feel kind of weird saying it's a Wildcard Weekend preview, but I'm just going along with what the NFL is calling it. So don't blame me. And that matchup is going to be the Arizona Cardinals traveling out to LA to face the Rams. It's your typical Monday night game start at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. And since they are divisional rivals, this just like the Bills and Patriots, this will be the third time that these teams will be facing each other. They split the regular season series, so all the bragging rights, the most important bragging rights, are on the line in this matchup. Because if you lose, your season's done. You're going fishing. You're going to Cabo, and you're in the off season after Monday. But yeah, how the season though played out earlier this year, well, not this year, but earlier back in the season, the Cardinals won the first matchup, which was in LA. Cardinals won that game 37-20, but that was back on October 3rd. That was back when the Cardinals were looking like the hottest team in the league, and they have fallen off since then. But they still got themselves into the playoffs. And then the Rams won their rematch back in December, on December 13th. This game was in Arizona, of course. Rams won that game 30-23. So obviously each team should have confidence that they can beat one another, and it's just going to come down to who can make the right plays at the right time on Monday night. Now, taking a look at the injury report before I get into the video, I'm going to start with the Cardinals. Now, before I get into this, the previous videos I was able to say like who's in, out, questionable, stuff like that. These teams are going to get one last practice in today, so you'll get the final injury reports at some point later today, so stay tuned for that. I just can't get the final injury reports because this is how I did my preview videos, as for those that kept me up with me throughout the season. Whenever I did my for the Monday night games, that's how I would just have to deal with how their practice reports were from Friday. Obviously, the final injury reports are going to come out later today, probably when the Bengals and Raiders game's going on. So obviously, I want to watch that game, so that's why I'm getting this preview video done right now. But really quick, before I dive into yesterday's injury report, J.J. Watt, yes. His season, he was a guy that suffered a season-ending injury. He's another guy that fought back. He did J.J. Watt things that he's done before. We've seen him, get injured and come back late in the year, back when he was with the Texans in the past, and he's done it again. He's back at practice. He's expected to play, and that should be a huge boost for their defense, especially against the run. Whenever J.J. Watt left that lineup, teams started running the rock against them on the ground. So he's going to help improve that. And then obviously he's still an effective pass rusher. So him and Chandler Jones can wreak havoc on Matthew Stafford, and those guys can get firing on all cylinders early in the game. Now, taking a look at the practice report from yesterday, these two players did not practice. James Conner with the ribs. I know it sounded like he's going to be a game time decision, so that's going to be one to monitor. Jonathan Ward did not practice with a knee. Now, these following guys were limited. Zach Allen with an ankle, Antonio Hamilton with a tooth. I wonder if he chipped it or something. And then Chase Edmonds with the ribs and toe. Now, that's another one to monitor, because if James Conner can't go, obviously they need Chase Edmonds to roll. But I think I heard that Chase Edmonds also might be a game time decision. So obviously we're trying to see how this backfield's going to be for Arizona come Monday night. And then Rondale Moore is limited with an ankle, and then Jordan Phillips was limited with a knee, and Justin Pugh was limited with a calf. So they got a number of guys that are pretty banged up as they head into this matchup on Monday. And then taking a look at the Rams, they had to place their starting safety, Jordan Fuller, on IR earlier this week. And they actually signed Eric Weddle for the playoff run. He hasn't played in the NFL for 2 years, but I saw a photo of him. He looked yoked. He looked jacked up. So he looks like he's been kept himself in condition, and he should be able to contribute on Monday night. I'm pretty interested to see how he looks, because he was such a really good safety whenever he was in the league. He's such a cerebral safety too, so he's very smart, and he can add something for that back end of the defense, where maybe his play might not be where it was 2 years ago, but his mind could even be better from the couple years off and just watching the game and keeping up with the latest trends in football. Now, taking a look at the injury report, obviously this is huge for Eric Weddle to have them in the lineup because Taylor Rapp, their other safety, has not practiced with a concussion. And obviously, if he's not getting even limited practice reps in with a concussion, it's not a positive sign that he's going to be able to play on Monday. And then Buddy Howell did not practice with a hamstring. And then my man Van Jefferson was limited with a shoulder injury. But I always expect these guys that are kind of limited that they're going to fight through it and push to play on the game, as I've been saying in these videos. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into this preview video. Just like I did in the previous videos, I'm going to start with an offense versus defensive matchup and then vice versa from both teams. I'm going to start with the Arizona Cardinals offense versus the LA Rams defense. Taking a look at the Cardinals stats from this past year, when you look at it, they're basically a top 10 offense in the league. Total yards per game, they were getting 373.6 yards a game. That's 8th in the NFL. Rushing yards per game, they've been averaging 122.1 yards a game. That's 10th best in the NFL. But again, if James Conner can't go, that hurts them. Even if it's just Chase Edmonds, he's going to be less than 100%. So how effective can this rushing attack be against the LA Rams that has Aaron Donald up front and that could just completely affect that part of the offense for Arizona? And then their passing yards per game, 251.5. That's 10th in the NFL, and they've been averaging 26.4 points a game, which is 11th in the NFL. So they're all averaging almost 4 touchdowns a game on offense. So they're a team that can move the ball in the air, they can move the ball on the ground, especially with Kyler Murray's feet. I think Kyler Murray's been more of a pocket passer this year. He hasn't been looking to extend plays with his legs, but I don't think he needs to abandon that, but I think he's got to lean into that trait, that athletic trait of his is what makes him so great. Is because I always say this: he's got the quickest feet in the West. I don't understand why his agent hasn't got him a step tracker deal or sponsorship, whatever those things are, and I got him on commercials because I swear he takes the most steps in a football game whenever he is actually taking off and running. Now, let's take a look at the Rams defense, though, really quick. The Rams defense, when you look at the stats, if you kind of balance it all out, they are a middle of the pack defense, even though they have some playmakers all over the defense, but they're really good against the run, as you can see. So going over these stats really quick, total yards per game, they've been giving up 344.9 yards a game. That's 17th in the NFL, so they're right there at the top of the bottom half of the league in terms of total yards allowed. Rushing, though, like I said, they're top 10 against that. 103.2 yards a game they give up on the ground. That's 6th best in the NFL. And like I said, even though the Cardinals rank in the top 10 in that category, James Conner, I'm kind of leaning towards if he went 2 straight days with did not practice, he probably doesn't really go. And if he does go, he'll probably take a limited amount of snaps. And how effective can Chase Edmonds be on the ground with his toe and ribs injury as well? So I'm assuming they're going to be able to bottle up that rushing attack of Arizona, and then it's going to be on Kyler Murray, Christian Kirk, AJ Green, Rondell Moore, Zach Ertz, those guys to win this game for Arizona. And then passing yards per game, the Rams give up 241.7 yards a game. That's 21st in the league. I mean, even though they got Jalen Ramsey in the back end of that defense, there's still areas that you can pick apart, especially now. I mean, like I said, I'm excited to see what Eric Weddle can do, but at the end of the day, he hasn't played football in 2 years. So you could kind of attack them vertically. You can attack those safeties, in my opinion. I think this could be setting up for a huge Zach Ertz game because I really don't like the linebackers in LA to cover Zach Ertz. So he can work the middle of the defense. AJ Green can work the boundary. I'm not sure. They're probably not going to stick Jalen on one guy because DeAndre Hopkins isn't back for this team. So Jalen's going to be able to cover multiple different guys. So what you're going to have to do for Arizona is Arizona's going to have to figure out where Jalen is on the field and then attack the other point. It's pretty simple, right? So whether it's a Rondell Moore, whether it's Christian Kirk or AJ Green, one of those guys are going to have to step up when Jalen's not on them. And then I think that you can attack this team vertically all day. I really do believe that. Now, in terms of points per game, they give up 21.9. It's tied for 15th in the league, right there in the middle. So they give up 3 touchdowns a game. And, like I said, the Cardinals offense has been averaging almost 4 touchdowns a game. And then when you look at the previous matchups, um, sorry, the Cardinals injury report, maybe the Cardinals dropped 37 in that first game. They dropped 23. So we're kind of right around in that range when you look at that. So how I think this will go is I don't really think Arizona's going to do much on the ground. I just don't think. I think that they're both backs are too banged up for me to trust. I think Aaron Donald and that defensive front is going to be able to bottle up things. And then what's going to happen is how can they contain Kyler Murray now? If they can keep him within the pocket and Aaron Donald can blow it up in the inside while Leonard Floyd and Von Miller come on from the outside, that's going to lead to a long, rough night for their passing attack. Now, if the Cardinals' offensive line can step up, give Kyler Murray some time, if Kyler Murray can escape the pocket and either take off for first downs with his legs or just extend plays, which allows guys like Rondale Moore and Christian Kirk and AJ Green to work themselves open, Zach Ertz as well, and they can move the ball through the air, then I like their chances of moving the ball and putting up some points. Now, I think they're going to be able to get to the 3 touchdown mark. This has the sense it's going to be a barn burner. It feels like it's going to be the first team to 35 points is going to win this game, I feel like. And I do think Arizona has the capability of doing that, but they kind of stumbled into the playoffs, and they have been very inconsistent over the last month and a half for me to trust that. Like I said, I still think they at least get to 3 touchdowns. I do think they can get to 28 points, though, against the Rams. But can they get to that 35th point? Like, can they get the 5 touchdown mark? I think the first team to score 5 touchdowns wins this game. We'll have to see if that can be Arizona. Now, I've already been talking a lot on this game, so let me just kind of reverse it or flip it around and take a look at the Rams offense versus the Cardinals defense really quick. And then, so taking a look at the Rams offense this year, when you look at it, they've been a top 10 offense that's heavily leaned into the pass, which I think has kind of been somewhat of a detriment to Matthew Stafford, because I went back and watched all my individual team preview videos, little clips that I posted on Twitter back in August. And one of the things I said is this: Matthew Stafford needs a rushing attack. Now, Sony Michel has stepped up over the last month and a half, I will say that. But I think when you kind of lean on Matthew Stafford too much, that's when those turnovers and those interceptions happen. So they're going to have to get their rushing attack going with Sony Michel in this matchup. So taking a look, though, at their offense, like I said, they're a top 10 offense in terms of total yards per game, 372.1 yards a game. That's 9th in the NFL. Like I said, they only average 99 yards a game on the ground. That's 25th in the NFL. They're going to need more than that. If they're going to want to help out Stafford to kind of diminish those interceptions and kind of get a nice, proper balance attack, which will make them more of a threat as an offense. Their passing yards a game, they've averaged 273.1 yards a game. That's 5th best in the NFL. So we know they can pass, but they need a better balance in this game. And they've been averaging 27.1 points a game. That's tied for 7th in the NFL. So they pretty much basically they average 4 touchdowns a game. And then you take a look at the Arizona defense, looking at the stats overall, they're a team that's been, roughly a top 10, top 11 defense throughout the year, but you can run the ball against them when you look at the stats. So total yards per game, they've been giving up 329.2, which is 11th in the NFL. Like I said, get Sony Michel going early in this game. They've been giving up 114.8 yards a game on the ground. Oh, Sony Michel and Cam Akers. I keep on forgetting Cam Akers is back in that lineup. 114.8 yards a game. That's 20th in the NFL. So you can run the rock against Arizona. And then their passing defense has been really good, has stepped up this year, been better than what I thought it would be. They've only give up 214.4 yards a game, which is 7th in the NFL. And they give up around 21.5 points a game, which is tied for 9th in the NFL. So they give up about 3 touchdowns a game. So yeah, when I look at this matchup, like I keep on saying, I think the Rams, they need to come out and try to establish dominance in the trenches early in this game. Try to get Sony Michel going. Try to get Cam Akers going on the ground. Try to get those guys popping off 4 to 5 plus yard gains early in this game, and then what that's gonna do is if they can get that going early, then that can feed into Matthew Stafford's ability to be effective off the play action, and he can take deep shots to Odell Beckham Jr. I'm assuming Van Jefferson will play through a shoulder injury, that you can take a deep shot to him. And then obviously Cooper Kupp is just going to do Cooper Kupp things. It doesn't really matter where he's on the field. So that's what I think will be the recipe for success for the Rams offense, because I mean, you got to hope that Matthew Stafford got all of his interceptions out of him right before the playoffs, because if J.J. Watt comes in and he's really effective against the run, and they bottle up that rushing attack and they put them in like third and long situations. Now, I believe Matthew Stafford can overcome third and long situations, but if J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones are coming off the edge and they're forcing early decisions by Stafford, that's where his interceptions can come in. That's where a guy like Budda Baker can make a big-time play in the back end of the defense. That's where a guy like Byron Murphy can pick off the ball and take it to the house for a pick six against this offense. So that's where you kind of look for Arizona's defense to step up. I'm excited to see how Isaiah Simmons plays in this matchup. I was a huge fan of him coming into the NFL, and he's taken a huge step in his progression in year two. So I think he's going to be able to control that middle of that defense as well, and when they're in coverage, as far as kind of keeping a guy like Tyler Higbee in check, right? So it's going to be on the guys on the outside. You're going to see Cooper Kupp probably see 10 plus targets, and I mean, Odell Beckham, if he can have a classic Odell game, this could really open up in the Rams' favor, in my opinion. But how I see it is, like I said, have a proper balance attack on the ground, and then start picking them apart through the air. Because I think if they start leaning into the pass early, I think that's going to favor the Cardinals, in my opinion. With that being said, though, I think I trust Sean McVay to have that I mean, if I'm thinking it, I want to say he's thinking it. He's more of a football genius than I am, obviously. I'm here in my apartment in Tampa Bay. He's about to coach a playoff game in his fourth or fifth season? Yeah. So he's got a better football mind than me. So I'm thinking he's going to try to do the similar attack that I think that he should do. And I think they're going to be able to move the ball, and I think they're going to be able to score, put up the points against that defense. I mean, when you look at it, they scored 30 points against them not too long ago. So again, I think it's going to come down to who can score that fifth touchdown. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think it's going to be a 28-28 game. I do think the Cardinals do get to that fourth touchdown, by the way. It's going to be a 28-28 game late in the fourth quarter, and it's going to come down to who has the ball last. I think Von Miller, for some reason, is going to come off the edge and either force a fumble or help force a tip ball interception. He's going to, or even just a simple sack to end the Cardinals drive. And he's going to help get the ball back in the Rams' favor. I think Stafford, I know a lot of people hate on him. I kind of like Stafford, okay? So I kind of wanted to see him overcome his past failures, even though he didn't really have much. He only had one shot in the playoffs, but I'm looking for him to overcome that, and I think he marches his team down the field, and they end up scoring a touchdown to give him the 35-28 lead at the end of the game, and the Rams win and move on to the playoffs. So that's my pick. Even though, like I said last night in my Steelers-Chiefs preview video, that I'm kind of worried that I have now officially picked every single home team to win this weekend. Probably going to be wrong at least on one or two of them, but we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or not. But yeah, I'm going to stick with my Rams over the Cardinals pick. Here's the thing. I don't trust what the Cardinals how they have played as they have headed into the playoffs. If the Cardinals would have maybe stepped up over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and if they maybe got DeAndre Hopkins back in the lineup, maybe I could see that happening. I just trust the Rams more over the Cardinals. Plus, the Rams have, as a team, they have more playoff experience compared to that Cardinals team. So I'm going to lean into that as well. So I'm picking the Rams. So yeah, that is my final Wildcard Weekend preview video. As always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button so you can keep up with all my playoff preview videos. I will be back, let's see here. So I'm assuming the divisional round will be 2 Saturday games and 2 Sunday games. So you guys should see two preview videos on this upcoming Thursday for the Saturday games, and then you should see the other two preview videos for the Sunday games come out on my channel on Friday. So stay tuned for those videos. Other than that, I'm gonna head out, get this out up there and upload it for you guys. Enjoy Wildcard Weekend. I cannot wait. I love playoff football in the NFL. I'll talk to you guys next week.